And thank you for joining us on PM Express. It's a sad last 24 hours because of this fatality. 24 deaths in just one accident. And if you look at the pictures around this, and I'm sure you've seen a lot and watched a lot of pictures with wailing and tears, we have to begin to explore solutions to perennial crisis. And the picture on your screen tells a million stories. It's a picture of a crash site that has claimed the lives of so many people. We're again back to having a discussion that we always have. The question is about when are we going to see results that actually leads to saving lives. We're trying to look at that. What do we know so far? We know that one more person has been confirmed dead in Tuesday's tragic accident at Dampoase, which is again very tragic, on the Cape Coast Takoradi Highway. And if you see this vehicle, this is a head-on collision. It's just unimaginable what people are going through. The latest death brings to 35 the number of people killed in that road crash alone in one day. And we know the road crashes in Ghana kill far more people than any of the known killer diseases in the world when it comes to Ghana. Now, 53 more, we understand that are receiving treatment. Some are still in critical condition. Some are currently being declared safe and out of the woods. Now, let's come to the big picture, right? Just look at what we're seeing there in that shot there, right on my left. It's how do you survive this? You have a tipper truck loaded with timber running into a saloon vehicle. This happens on our road every single day, leading to 6,700 people killed through road accidents in Ghana in the last 3 years. 6,700. This is not a war zone. It is not a war zone. We are not at war with anybody. And in 3 years, we've lost 6,000 people due to road crashes. That is alarming. Any part, anywhere else in the world, there will be a national emergency to deal with this crisis. In Ghana, it's not. I mean, in spite of the Traffic Act, we have laws to deal with this, 2004, passed by Parliament in an attempt by government to deal with the unacceptably high number of deaths through road accidents. Road safety experts believe the current law has not been helpful, largely because the initial heavy fines and sentences were significantly watered down. Now, it brings back the age-old conversation. We've been having this for a while. Why the country is still experiencing high degree of deaths on our roads. It's a key question. So tonight we'll go back. That's all we can do, really. Keep at this until we find a solution. Exploring the solutions again, but holding the authorities to what they have promised before and why they have failed to do enough to stop this senseless, barbaric, call it everything you want, all the adjectives, because it's just lives have been lost again. Tonight, there are 2 children who have lost their parents in this crash. They've been asking for them, but they won't find them because they're dead. We'll be getting into this and also bringing the very latest here on PM Express when we return from the break. And thank you for staying with us here on PM Express. It's been a tragic last 24 hours, really. Tonight, as we just brought you the latest, one more person is dead, bringing the figure to 35 in all. We'll be joined by my colleague JoyNews shortly. He's still been working to try and get an update for us from the hospital. A government delegation have been there today, including the president dispatching the railways minister to go represent him to again see what has happened, but also talk about solutions. You can see on your screens there relatives who've lost dear ones in the accident. This is the reality for many Ghanaians every single day across the country, by the way. The people lose lives every day. In the studio with me is Daniel, Waku. He is the Deputy Director, National Road Safety Authority. Cecil Gabra, you know him, is a road safety consultant, top tech driving institute. They have a new shiny office just almost opposite to the La General Hospital there. If you can go there for tours as well. It's open for tours, right? you can't pass by. Samuel Epai will join us shortly via Skype, and chairman of the Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament. They had worked on transforming the Road Safety Commission into Road Safety Authority and giving them new powers. What were their own expectations in Parliament when they were doing that? Was it to help deal with some of these problems, and whether they believe their expectations are being met? Who'll join us shortly. Kunyako will join us also very shortly as we get into this. Cecil, I don't know if you're surprised anymore to hear these gory, tragic accidents that get a nation to talk. What's your reaction to
well,
this?
My condolences to the family of the bereaved. It's just sad, but I'm not surprised. It's quite normal, yeah. Right? They may occur many more times because we are not tackling the situation. We are not tackling this. If we tackle the situation, we'll reduce it to a very minimum figure, Evans, I'm telling you. But we are not serious in this country when it comes to road safety.
Break it down when you say we are not serious, we are not tackling.
Well, we talk about the same issue every now and then. I mean, for this, 35 people have just died, so it's news, all right? But what about the everyday situation? I mean,
the one here, the
yes,
two there, the
one,
three
two,
here.
just add all. And it is not everything that road safety or MTTD will get right, okay? So they are happening every now and then. It's now up to us to put in place structures to stop it. That is it. And I'm always, fighting to say that enforcement, right? It is an enforcement issue. Government is not investing in road safety in this country. Road safety can generate a lot of money for us. We are not serious. I mean, that is it. So if you ask me to break it down, what I would say is, fine, we have the legislation instruments, 2180 and so on. But then if you look at it, I mean, when I looked at this recent accident, I said, what are we doing about speed governance? It is there, 135, regulation 135 talks about it.
Speed governance?
Of course, if you look at the regulation, it says that those big buses and so on must have speed limiters, which means that when you accelerate up to a certain point, 75 kilometers per hour, 80 kilometers per hour for a bus, you can't get any speed again.
This is in the law?
Yes, it is. It is there.
That says that buses that do long distance
precisely
must have speed limiters?
Precisely, it is there.
It's a must, or is it?
It is I mean, once it is in the airline, it is a legislative instrument. And this is 2012, if I'm right.
Oh, this is recent. Fairly recent.
2012
is fairly recent, actually.
Yes. And it is there.
Oh, wow.
And we are not implementing it. So if you look at the situation, I mean, the pictures we just saw, it's speed.
True.
And in speed, when you drive when you drive at 60 kilometers per hour and you have a crash, right? People in the vehicle may have injuries, okay, minor injuries. When you go beyond it, 80, 100, then you are talking about death. Okay, so when I saw the pictures, I said, wow, this is a speed of about 120 kilometers to 140 kilometers per hour. And this is night. If you have an employee security man at night, I mean, it's just, a usual thing that there's somebody in the house. But he's going to sleep. Yeah. Right?
Naturally, your human biology.
Precisely. The office you are talking about, I have 2 security men there, and I view my phone every time, 1 a.m. They are sleeping. I can't do anything about it. Now, just transfer it to driving. Right? God has given us morning to afternoon, evening to work. Evening, go and sleep. But if we have drivers driving at 12 midnight, then they are going to sleep. What do we check on the drivers? We don't check anything. At that particular time, the company involved, which I don't want to mention, is just looking for money. As the drivers will say, "Yenko shiomungumbra, na yenfafu from bra." They are looking at money. If the bus has any problem on the way, any challenges on the way, they are worried. They will not think about it. People, they will say, "Oh, sales for the day is gone." You see, so coming back to all this, I think we are not doing well as people, as government, because I'm looking at a situation where we'll even have a transport audit to find out whether those companies have got everything that it takes to run a transport company.
I want to take this one by one. Let's start with the speed limiters.
Yes, so speed limit.
And I want to bring in the Road Safety Authority deputy boss on that.
Okay.
That is such a simple solution. It's simple. Install speed limiter. If you don't have the speed limiter, it's a law. You can't drive. In fact, Cecil, STC, I understand, have that as a requirement in their vehicles, and that they have installed the speed limiters.
Precisely.
True or false?
That is true.
I mean, and I was thinking about it with my colleagues today. When was the last time anybody heard about an STC vehicle involved in an accident that killed people? I don't recall.
Well, and it starts from management. Nana Kumia is doing very well. I mean, he's a friend. He listens. And then now, if you go to STC for the first time in this country, they have simulators. Okay.
To train the drivers.
To train the drivers, which is a big plus. Yeah. Okay.
Let me come back to that. For me, as an ordinary citizen, what Cecil had just said, laws are made to represent a people's will and aspiration. So once it's in the law, that means that that's what we all want. So what is so difficult about enforcing the speed limiter law?
Thank you very much. I want to also use the opportunity to express my condolences to bereaved families of victims that lost their lives, and wish those who are recovering from the injuries a speedy recovery. It's one thing putting the law there. It's another thing implementing the law.
What is the
so the implementation is the problem now. That side of the implementation is under the responsibility of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA. So I cannot really speak to the reason why there is a challenge of implementation.
Okay, so when you say it's under them, what are they supposed to do?
DVLA is the authority responsible for vehicles that come onto our roads. They are the ones that have to take them through the tests, the roadworthiness, or any.
So they have to ensure that you have a speed limiter before they give you a roadworthy certificate.
They have to ensure that these things are checked. They are working before they pass the vehicle. Okay. But I don't know about the protocols and as to how far or what goes into the implementation of that law. So
here's my follow-up question on that. And all this very layman, just following from what Cecil said, who's an expert. So GVLA is supposed that they're not doing it. We all know that's a problem, right? But you're an authority now.
Thank you.
So you have some influence there.
Yeah.
You say DVLA, let's come and sit in a room. I mean, and say to us, the law is a law. Why haven't you done this? Police, why are you not enforcing?
Before we became authority, our mandate, we were doing collaboration. And this is not the first time. We have mentioned this at different platforms, that there is a need for commercial vehicles, for example, which carry passengers more than a certain number, to be fitted with what? This speed governance. Because as he said, most of the accidents that occur in Ghana, about 60%, as you have shown, is speed related. Yeah. So if you can curb the speed, accidents will happen, even if they happen at lower speed.
I just want to restate the problem, because I think that what we know.
We know
from your engagement, why haven't we implemented this simple solution?
At that time, we could not have taken any other step beyond.
But did you engage them?
We did.
What did they tell you?
We have been engaged. I mean, they have to, all institutions have challenges, so they will tell you about challenges that they have. Now, secondly, now, fortunately, we have become an authority. Now, inside the act of the authority, the National Road Safety Authority now has the mandate to take any institution that is supposed to undertake a safety measure and is not doing it to court. So now we have the act behind us to take these people on.
When you say these people, you mean?
For example, DVLA.
Okay.
If, for example, it's inside the law that vehicles are supposed to have speed limited, fitted with, and they are not being fitted, we can ask DVLA to ensure that that law is what? Executed, so that people's lives will be saved.
And you say the law also empowers you to take them to court?
Yes.
And do what?
Yeah.
Sue them?
To sue them, exactly.
To do what? To what?
To ensure that whatever it is that they have to do, that they are mandated to do, they do it. It's not only DVLA. We can also take, for example, the Ghana Highway Authority to court. That, for example,
when did you get this enhanced power?
It came with the passage of the National Road Safety Authority law.
When was
that? Was last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, inside the law, we have 1 year to prepare or to develop the legislative instrument that to go to back the act.
Which you are now in the process of doing.
Which we are in the process of doing.
So without that, you cannot enforce that part of the law?
It can be enforced. So, for example,
I think the question people want, are you going to do this? In the wake of, are you going to do this?
Yes. For example, this crash that occurred yesterday, one of the actions that we have taken is we have constituted a multidisciplinary investigative team to look into the case. Now, whatever is going to be brought out as findings, we are going to act on that. If it has to do with what institutional lapse, for example, then whichever institution that was involved, we have to take that institution on, because now we have the law
legally.
Yeah, legally.
Okay.
Exactly.
Since I know there's a lot to say, I'm going to come back to you, because I like the first break you've just given us, because I wanted to. This is not rocket science. I think from what you've just started saying, this is not rocket science. I mean, I don't see how it's impossible for the MTTD to wake up one morning and say, the law, we are enforcing the law. If DVLA has failed, no bus can run today because you don't have speed limiter, because it's in the law, and shut down all the transport hubs in Ghana. Everybody go to State Transport Corporation because they are respecting the law. How is that difficult to do? It's the law. People's jobs and the economy will be affected, but you save lives. I mean, is that rocket science?
Well, that is not rocket science.
It's enforcement.
It's not rocket science, it's enforcement. But you see, we are all partners. Just like my brother mentioned that you're going to take DVLA to court. I mean, I was just smiling. That would not be possible. It's not going to be possible.
Right.
Why will it not be possible? It's in the law.
Oh, they are all parties.
Oh.
No.
I'm going to come and explore. I'm going to, just give me a second. I'm going to come and explore this reality check a bit more. Hold on. I'll explore this a bit. Let me go onto the phone lines quickly and bring in my colleague. I'll come back to this. Trust me. Let me go to phone lines and bring in Kojo Nyako, who is on Skype. Hello, Kojo. Hello, Kojo.
Hi, Evans.
Thank you, Kojo. Also with me is the chairperson of the Roads and Highways Committee in Parliament, Ms. Ayepai. Ms. Ayepai, thank you for your time here on PM Express.
You are welcome.
Thank you very much.
The name of the committee is Roads and Transport Committee.
Roads and Transport Committee. Thank you very much. Kojo, we had a tragic news this evening that one more person had passed. What more are we learning about this?
Well, it's still unconfirmed that one more person had passed. As of the time I was leaving the hospital, the death toll was still 34. So we are yet to get a confirmation from the hospital officials whether indeed one more person has passed.
Okay. I'm also interested in the story of these two children who parents were in the car and are now dead, and I'm told they've been crying, asking for their parents. Have any other family relatives showed up to claim them?
Yes, we are told that a relative has showed up and wanted to even get them and send them to Accra, to the 37 Military Hospital for further attention. Some church members have also been there, as well as some workers of the man or the father of these two children have also been around. Now, what the children have been doing is that they've been crying incessantly, wanting to see their parents. They have been mentioning the names of their parents and not their sibling, because we know that the sibling, 8-month-old, has also been pronounced dead and is among the dead. What hospital officials are doing is to gradually lead them into what exactly has happened. So they've invited psychologists to come and psych these children up. But one is still in critical condition because he is not all that fit. He got some injury on the head. And so after suturing and the others, he is not all that fit. But the 8-year-old is fit. He got injuries on the hip and then the upper part of the body. And so the hospital officials are managing the situation very well so that, I mean, these two people, nothing really happens to them. So it's really a pathetic situation for these two people.
And could you, as you speak, I'm just watching the pictures on the screen here, and it is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. The pictures you're seeing there with the fire service trying to put out and douse the whatever smoldering flames. This, I'm short for words. Look at the car. It doesn't look like anything like a vehicle. It looks like it's just gone to the crash, the crash yard for it to be crashed purposely for scrap. But this is a vehicle that was carrying people, human lives, that we now know many are no more. Could you thank you very much for that update. I want to bring in now the chair of the Roads and Transport Committee in Parliament, Ms. Aipai, who's joining me. Ms. Aipai, I want first, this is a pretty tragic story. I'm pretty sure, how is the committee taking in all this, knowing that you've done a lot with the law?
And also, my condolences go to the family. A very sad story. I've read and been following it since yesterday. The impact, yes, very high, and also because it wasn't head-on, but rather the other vehicle hit the middle side of the other vehicle. So all the safety gadgets put in front of the vehicle to absorb such part of a form of impact will not work because it hit the middle part of the vehicle. So the occupants of that vehicle will sustain very, very high injury. I think that must also increase the number of the deaths in the vehicle. It's very sad. The committee, I spoke to my ranking member just this afternoon, and there's so many things that we've been doing with the National Road Safety Committee, the Ministry of Transport, the Ghana Highways Authority, to try to reduce accidents, especially on our trunk routes. I quite remember just before we went on recess, the Ministry of Transport, Roads, and Highways brought a loan agreement in Parliament in which we are going to put street lights on some of the highways in this country, some locations that can also reduce the rate of accidents on our trunk routes. The DVLA and the National Road Safety Commission and also the MTTD, before and during this Christmas, we're also going around educating drivers and put up measures that can reduce road accidents. So, indeed, we are doing so many things to reduce accidents on our roads. The most important thing is driver behavior, which is very difficult to control. Before I became a member of Parliament, I was with DVLA as a test officer and vehicle examiner. I've been training and testing drivers for driver's license, and the major issue then was driver behavior, and I think it is still driver behavior. There's one basic driving regulation that we've been asking drivers, they don't pay attention to it. They say, don't don't accelerate when being overtaken. Don't accelerate when being overtaken simply means when one vehicle is trying to overtake you, don't increase your speed, because the vehicle that is about to overtake you might have estimated your speed and see that he can overtake you, just for you to increase the speed, which will affect the time that that vehicle will bypass you. And that's what exactly happened yesterday. So I wasn't there, but listening at the scenario and what happened, clearly the other driver was also speeding. And maybe when he saw the other vehicle coming, also decided to speed. But one issue that I find difficult to understand is where the accident happened. The road is very straight there, so the other driver can see very far from where the accident happened. So what happened that he did not see the other truck approaching? Very sad. But I think we must continue to educate drivers, we must continue to check. Law enforcement, one critical problem that we are facing in this country is MTTD and other security agencies that are to enforce law on our roads for us. So we must also look into that and see how best we can enforce some of the regulations. One of your panelists was talking about speed limit. Yes, it is the regulations, but we are not enforcing it. How many vehicles or higher occupant vehicles that are having a speed limit that is fixed into the accelerator or the engine fuel system to control the speed? So some of these things need to be implemented. When it is done, I think it can reduce the speed, because the slogan says, kill your speed before your speed kills you.
And very finally, on that point you just made, the last point, I mean, you have the authority in Parliament. We've given you the power to do some of these things on our behalf. I mean, the agencies that were supposed to implement these speed limiters, like DVLA, have failed to do that. They are under a ministry. Is it something that you want to look
exactly.
into?
Quite recently, we passed the National Road Safety Authority Act. You know, it was National Road Authority, National Road Traffic Commission. Now it is National Road Traffic Authority. They now have powers. We've given them extra powers of which they can use to even prosecute and arrest drivers who misbehave on the road. Apart from that, we've also given them power to check institutions like DVLA. National Road Safety Authority can now prosecute DVLA if they have to do something to prevent accidents and they fail to do. They can fine them, they can take them to court. So many powers that we given to them.
Let me ask a quick question on that. Do you expect now the National Road Safety Authority to go ahead now and crack the whip on DVLA and other institutions failing?
We've given them the power now. The law has been passed by Parliament.
Yeah, I know you're giving them the law. There's giving them the law and whether they are going to use the law. What's your expectation on that?
Yes, we have a National Petroleum Authority. We have NCA, that is the National Communication Authority. They regulate the service providers of our communication system. So also the National Road Safety Authority should be able, and they will, because now they have the power. DVLA was consulted. We had a meeting with them 2-3 occasions. We let them to understand what the law is coming to do. All the stakeholders, GPRTU, another transport company, Metro Mass, STC, and other transport organizations. One of the panelists was talking about regulating who regulates the transport companies and what goes into formation of a transport company. Yes, that is why the National Road Safety Authority is coming. Now, just like the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, it register all aircraft that comes into this country. So also, National Road Safety Authority is going to register and regulate transport companies and organizations like the Protua, the GPRTU, the VIP, the VVIP, even color code. you are going to register all this and give them color codes and give them check whether, yes, you've put your speed limit.
Okay.
So many things will be put into place that I think will help check.
I am grateful that you joined us. I'm grateful. I need to come back to the studio. So he makes the point. The last point, where you say it's you don't see that as a realistic option, that they will sue and drag DVLA to court. Why do you say that?
Well, I was laughing about it. I'm saying that if there's anything, I'm sure they'll talk it over than going.
But from what you heard from the chairman, I think this is the real deal.
It's a process. In the first instance, for example, we have to issue notice for failing to do what you have to do. Mm-hmm. Now, if a notice is issued, you'll be given some time to put your house in order to ensure that this thing is done. If it's not done, there is a next step. The next step is to take you to what? To court. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you see, the law must work in this country. So if you go to court, we are all supposed to respect the rulings of the court. If the court rules that you have to do this, will you say you will not do it? Mm-hmm. That's the point.
Even I have a problem. 2012, if the law is saying that speed limiters must be installed in such vehicles, what are we waiting again? What are we waiting for? Are we going to wait till 100 deaths again before there's any action? Okay, that is my problem. It is a big problem. It is there. I'm not blaming National Road Safety Authority. But my major problem is, why hasn't this been done? From 2012, when the LI 2180 was promulgated into action, right, we are still here talking about the issue where National Road Safety Authority will take DVLA on because vehicles haven't got speed limiters.
What is DVLA doing to enforce that law? I think that's a question. That is since 2012.
Well, I mean, if you ask me, I don't.
Yeah, I get the point.
Now, let me just make the Honorable made a statement that, you see, before now, or even up to now, there is no regulation of the transport, commercial transport sector. If you have your money,
free for all.
Free for all. If you have your money, you acquire a vehicle. Tomorrow you are on the road as a driver.
Well,
now there is no system that you have to pass through to be able to become a commercial transport operator. And I don't think you agree with me that I don't think that it is everybody in this country that can be a commercial transport operator.
True.
Yeah. So there should be standards. Now that is where the authority is coming in now. The authority has been given the mandate to now develop standards, which if you want to be an operator, if you want to be a transport vehicle operator, a commercial transport vehicle operator, you pass through the system, medical, education, training, and all that, to be able to work. So right now it's going to come to a point where driving license alone will not give you the chance to just drive a commercial vehicle. You must have a commercial vehicle operating permit. That is what the National Road Safety Authority is coming to do now, so that there will be some sanity in the commercial transport sector.
So, you see, I just go back again, and I mean, looking at pictures on your screen, I go so sad.
Yeah.
Because it has happened in my home where my wife and son had an accident. Anytime I talk about it, sometimes I sob. When are we going to implement all this? That is my problem.
Yeah, give me a second. When are you going to do this? All that you said you would do. When are you going to do
this? That's what I said. The legislative instrument is under development now. Mm-hmm. We are in development.
One time.
We are giving 1 year to be able to develop the.
When does it? When a year end?
This 1 year end this year.
When? Which month?
August.
Okay, so you have
August.
Okay, so between now and August, we shouldn't expect you to do anything.
We've already started working on the LI.
Okay.
So
between now and August, more people can die.
No, at all. The National Road Safety Commission, for example, we are not relenting on our activities. For example, you bear witness that this Christmas and New Year season, we have intensified our activities, our sensitization and our education and our enforcement with police all over the country. In fact, it is just unfortunate that yesterday this incident has happened, because it has really dampened our spirit, because what we put, the effort we put in all over the radio stations, we were jumping from one station to the other, one lorry station to the other, toll booth to toll booth, trying to just spread the news. You see, it is one thing we always say that road safety is what? A shared responsibility.
I've heard that. I'm tired.
Wait. No.
Shared responsibility.
Wait. Let me tell you.
People don't. That's why you go in there.
Let me explain.
The whip.
Evans, wait, excuse me. Yesterday, for example, in the night, those two drivers who were in charge of those vehicles should have exercised responsibility. That responsibility is not for National Road Safety Authority.
No, that responsibility
it is theirs.
It's for the police officer.
No. It is there. They also have equal responsibility.
People break the law.
No. Please. There is law. Law is law.
I hear what you're saying about shared responsibility.
Yeah.
The reality, the numbers tell us, is that people are not taking the responsibility.
Why?
The law says when you fail to be responsible, we'll take that out of your hands now.
Evans, are we going to be able to finance police officers to line up
when
all
you have
the roads?
6,000 people dying?
Excuse me.
To
line all the roads in this country.
It is more important than doom shop. An emergency, didn't we find out the billions to do? We just haven't
technically it's not possible.
I think respond to that for me. Say technicalism.
It's not possible to line up all the roads with police personnel. It's not possible. So the citizens themselves must also be what? Law abiding. We have to be. Compliance must come from us.
I get you. I agree with you. Except that we know the reality says people are not doing that. So we have to do something else.
Well, National Road Safety Authority is going to take its time. And we all agree that from now till whenever they'll finish, okay, Evans, it's only God. Let me finish.
I didn't say that. We will continue to do what we have to do, and we will continue our education.
I am supporting you.
He's supporting you.
Okay, I am not condemning you. I'm supporting you. My problem is what do we do from now till when it will be ready? I feel, people don't talk about what I'm going to say now. Sadly, in this country, majority of passengers don't drive. They sit in buses. If a driver is misbehaving, they don't know. So with the situation now, I'm looking at the way forward than sitting here to argue. How do we save lives? Right? If we have an education in even every bus that would be traveling, right? That is one good solution, where passengers will be spoken to on how to determine that this vehicle is, driving at a certain speed. Now, there should be some simple actions. Speedometers. The driver sees his speedometer. Let's have a digital one which will be very visible to passengers. Okay? Under the mirror, it is fixed there. The vehicle is driving, the vehicle is going more than the stipulated kilometers per hour, which is 75 kilometers per hour for bus drivers, 75, 80 kilometers for bus drivers. So the moment that you see that, hey, 81, right, don't you think that people will start voicing it out? Hey, driver, Utumrika, Wapahon, you are gone. You see, these are the pragmatic solutions that I'm looking at now till National Road Safety Authority comes out. Now, apart from that, what is stopping us from the speed limiters? Okay, companies are using it. In fact, in my office, it's a software. There's a chip in the vehicle, and try me tomorrow and see. Get to Cape Coast, and if you are coming back, we'll lower your speed that you're traveling, and it happens. Yes. By just the mouse. We did it, and this driver, on the Cape Coast Road coming to Accra, he was speeding at 120 kilometers per hour. And then the software will give you the colors: green, amber, red. Red, 120 kilometers per hour. Then with my mouse, I started, slowing it back. You know what the driver did? He just passed by a workshop. And I know you have the Google map. Where is he gone? Went to a workshop and went to report that my vehicle there's a problem with my vehicle and I'm accelerating and it is not going. So we saw the workshop. We called the workshop. I said, hey, if you don't know you touched that car, you'll be in trouble. You know what the driver did? He left the car there and ran away. You see? So there are so many ways of killing the cat. This is what I'm talking about. Let's, put up that pragmatic effort in dealing with it is speed. My brother mentioned 60 kilometers. No, it is more than that. It's about 80 to 90 kilometers, 90% the causes of road crashes. That is number one. People are driving V8. Look, don't think about the buses alone. Driving V8, I mean, yes, you have the twin turbo, and he wants to test the vehicle to see what it means by the twin turbo. On the motorway, you see it, 180 kilometers per hour. Okay, these are the issues that we are facing in this country. In this country, you can easily pass the police. The police
you don't have the vehicle to
hasn't even got the
they can't read you in the text message
to say that, look, this car, yes, you see the police car. Go and do it in the developed countries, and then you see what it means. So we have a lot. We are losing a lot of people, right? When a senior person within the government crashes, you know what happens. They are going to send ambulance. In other cases, they are going to maybe use a helicopter and so on. Have you seen any helicopter there?
No.
These are ordinary citizens, 34 of them. They've gone. What are we doing about it? So that is my beef on all this.
I like the simple solutions. So I'll come to you. Just make a note for me. I want to take a quick break. When we return, I'll hear from you. And also, really, I'll also bring you a report that tells us why deliberately our leaders have failed to make create deterrence in the law when it comes to fines and punishments. There was a time in this country when deliberately the law was amended to reduce the fines and the deterrence. For whatever reason, we'll look at that. Stay with us here on PM Express. So live on PM Express, my guest in the studio, Cecil Gabra, and also the deputy boss at the National Road Safety Authority. You had a point to make before we went for the break. I want you to articulate it.
Yes, I just want to say that before the LI is finally developed, the National Road Safety Authority, for example, has embarked on the training of drivers, commercial drivers. During this Christmas and New Year season, and we are still ongoing training these drivers. We realize that they need training. It's very, very important. So we have targeted 13,000 drivers as a pilot, which after that we are going to continue to see how we can get to every other area in the country. In fact, we've been to all the regions anyway, but the numbers are overwhelming, but we have to start with from somewhere. We are also, the new act that has come out, the Authority Act, we need to sensitize our stakeholders as to what is involved in it. We need to prepare the grounds well before we start the implementation of the act, the elements of the act. So we have been undertaking this stakeholder sensitization with the transport operators, the road agencies, the DVLA, and all those people, anybody that matters. So we are doing that one. These are all in addition to the traditional sensitization education that we have been doing. But I always say that on the other side of the coin, the road user has a very critical role to play. The driver has a critical role to play. You are carrying passengers, many passengers at a time, driving in the night. You cannot see very far. You can only see up to where your light can take you. Look at the speed at which, look at the extent of damage. It tells you the speed at which those vehicles were traveling. The driver has a responsibility to play. The passenger has a responsibility to play, as Cecil was saying. The National Road Safety Authority, as one of their flagship campaigns, passengers should speak up. If something is going on, I mean, even according to unconfirmed stories, one of the survivors said that when they got to Buruburam, they noticed that the driver, even the police stopped the driver didn't stop. That's something. It should tell you that something can happen. So passengers must have the courage, and they must come together. Sometimes an individual doing it is not very effective, but if passengers come together, but what do we see in our vehicles? someone starts it, another person, the next person sitting to you is the one who is going to shut you down.
Yeah.
We must come. You see, this one, it has gotten to a point where we must move as a nation. We must all come on board. If we are saying that this person is responsible, that person is responsible, it will not take us anywhere. We must all come and play our.
Somebody must lead, though. I think that's
we are providing the leadership. We are providing the leadership. As for the leadership, we are providing the leadership.
There's something.
So we are calling on everybody to come on board and support.
There's a quick angle to this I want to introduce, which is even the laws that we have that we are not enforcing. When we decide to enforce them, are they deterrent enough? I mean, do the laws scare anybody? My colleague Malik Dabu has been digging into how over the years we've watered down the deterrence factors in our laws to the point where even where we decide to go and hold people to it, you find often that compensations are tiny. People, it's not murder, right? It's something else, and it carries far less sentence, and so people get away with. People with V8 get away with a lot of this as well. Even the laws that we have, do they have deterrence in them? If we decide to enforce them today, for those who violate the road traffic regulations, are the sanctions punitive enough?
Well, I don't believe in the punitive, as in to say, go and pay this, go and pay that, and so on, right? I believe in sending the person for training, okay? Because if the person has got money, he'll say, oh, look, I know 250 penalty units is about 600 cedis. Let me get 600 cedis. And then we're just waiting for the judge to, you know, say go and pay 600 cedis. And if he goes to pay, he will go back and commit the same error. But just like my brother mentioned that, I mean, people are being trained. Training is good. I mean, I'm into training. Sometimes you train a driver who's been driving for about 30 years. And he will say, after the program, he sits down and says, hey, so all this that I've been doing is not the right thing. Okay, so if you look at the 4 technical E's in road safety, I mean, education is very important. Okay, I don't believe in the punitive measures to say, go and pay this, go and pay 3,000. You go and borrow money, pay it, but does he know what he did?
Yeah.
He may continue to drink and drive.
Yeah.
Okay, but and apart from all what you are saying, I just want to skip a little bit because
Briefly,
I mean,
because you have
okay,
10 seconds.
Right. The other thing in this country, which I'm always talking about, is road markings. Road markings. Road markings are deaf and dumb, but they communicate with us. If you and I travel to Great Britain or anywhere else, you know that that road marking that was there in 1964 is still there. In Ghana, road markings last for 2 years. Okay, these are some of the issues that worries me. And it's on the Spinters Road where I live. Now we have what we call the cat's eye. The cat's eye is something which is, I'm just using my ordinary word so you understand. It's buried in the middle of the road so that if you drive, it gives you that light as a reflector. Right, it's supposed to last for a very long time. Come to Spinters and see. They were fixed about 2 years ago. They are gone. Now, so this is an engineering problem that I'm talking about.
We have to fix. In fact, now we actually construct roads with no road markings.
No road markings.
Plenty of them.
No road markings.
We actually re-asphalt them, and we are driving this smooth, but no road markings. But Cecil, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
I don't want to have you here again, because we only bring you here when there's trouble and people's lives are lost. It's unfortunate that that happens. I want to bring you here one day when the year had gone on and we had
maybe you shouldn't wait for these things to happen.
We should continue.
Yes, education must continue.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That we'll do. I'm grateful that you also joined us. Hopefully, you get to do the things you said you do tonight and save more lives. Enjoy the rest of the evening.